Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Brock the Collector here, coming back to you with the first video of 2022. First one that you're seeing, at least. It feels good to be back. Thank you guys so much for all of the love and support on the collection videos. Those are consistently the most popular in this year. Y'all did not disappoint. I think we're already close to 80,000 on both the Marvel Legends one and the Star Wars Black Series one. Star Wars Black Series one, we've already broken 21,000. I feel like we're well on track to, break in last year's 28,000 ceiling. So thank you guys so much for that. Coming to you with the top 10 Star Wars Black Series figures of 2022. My top 10 favorite. People are including this wave on their top 10s. I personally will not be considering. I didn't get it last year. It just wouldn't be fair. Same goes for this Boba Fett. I pre-ordered it. It was supposed to come out like in December or something. A lot of people got theirs in December. I did not get mine until, well, just like this passing week. So yeah, no, but hey, at least that's a good thing because it's not, my top 10 list is going to be at least one spot different from everybody else's. It's not going to have that freaking Darth Maul in the number one spot just like every single person on YouTube does. I bet that it's a good figure. I can't wait to whip it out. And I know it's also not going to have Aayla Secura or any of these other guys on there. So at least you can look forward to my list being a little bit different, albeit maybe a little bit dated. But you know what? Without further ado, let's go into it. So, it being January, everybody, or at least I personally make a tradition out of, carving out your New Year's resolutions. And this year, I actually made my New Year's resolution centered around y'all, or this channel more specifically. As you can see, the number one resolution is to deliver more advanced commentary on YouTube. And that being so, it's hard for me to do with the Marvel figures because I only collect like the movie ones, so everything I know is basically everything that everybody else knows. But at least with Star Wars, I read the books, I know the comics. I got a little bit of the knowledge with Star Wars, so I can maybe try to elaborate a little bit more. That's something that I'm going to try to start doing. And Bib Fortuna is actually somebody that I know more about other than him just being, the doorman to Jabba's palace. In canon, actually, Bib Fortuna, who's my number 10 on this list because of the detail and everything, he was actually, of course, you all know that he was a Twi'lek, but he had gifted Jabba the Hutt his Rancor, if y'all didn't know that. Yeah, he had gifted him that Rancor. That was pretty crazy. He's actually Jabba the Hutt's Major Domo, similar to how Mox Shays had that other Twi'lek Major Domo in canon. If you guys want to know something about Bib Fortuna, though, he got one of the ugliest freaking cousins y'all have ever seen. Like, even for an alien. Google like Beezer. Bezer. I believe that's how his name was spelled. Ugly as But yeah, no, this figure is really good. In Legends, actually, did y'all know that Bib Fortuna became one of those spider walking brain things? It's kind of weird. Yeah, no, but actually, I think in both continuities, he succeeds Jabba the Hutt's crime family. So you kind of need him in your collection, whether it's this version or actually this is the only version we have in this scale. Yeah, Bib Fortuna is actually kind of a key player as far as the original trilogy goes, and even just knowing him as Jabba's Major Domo, he's still pretty important to have, especially if you're carving out a Tatooine display. Day one on Wanga all day. The figure though is on my top 10 list because I just really love like the sculpt on it. It's not great articulation, but I love the sculpt, the colors, and it's everything about it. The hands too are really good. It just looks really, really good. So yeah, Bib Fortuna, number 10. Cool. Ah, yes, the beautiful Yavin Ceremony Princess Leia figure. This is actually not a figure I was expecting much from. I got it when I got the whole wave for sale, but I mean, shoot, I really like it, man. I love the soft goods. I'm one of the soft goods lovers, and I love it in the Black Series line. So seeing it on this Leia, the way it just drapes so satisfyingly. Of course, the pins aren't great in the legs, but you really can't see them ever. You're not going to be having this figure without the skirt over it. It just looks really, really good. And it was hard not putting this figure on the list because I really love this appearance from Princess Leia 5, I believe. It was the comic run of Princess Leia. It was number 5 in the series. I believe she wore this, when she was fighting them stormtroopers, taking down that installation. So yeah, but I like the Yavin Ceremony more. It looks very regal. It looks really good. So yeah, Princess Leia. I recently rewatched all the all of the Star Wars movies, all 11 of them. And that Yavin ceremony scene is just, it's fire having this figure there. Should have given Chewie a damn medal though. So you see, I was going to include the regular mass market version, but I realized that the 2-pack version is basically the same with one more accessory. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I actually have a slew of Black Series figure reviews, I guess, overviews that I've done that I have not released yet. Tell me if you guys want to see those in the comment section. It's about an hour long when I put all of them together, but they're on some figures that I just needed to catch up on, and I just edited them all together into one video. So tell me if you guys want to see that. But yeah, no, this is Ahsoka Tano from the Mandalorian figure. It's really, really good. They double dipped this year, which I thought was weird, having just those two in such quick succession. But hey, this cloak is just amazing. Again, I am a soft goods lover, man, and that is, look at the way that hangs. It just looks fantastic. This Ahsoka costume is probably not one of my absolute favorites. I would have liked for the figure to be darker. I don't know how much more accurate that would have been, but I would have liked if they would have made it a darker, like, black. Maybe it is accurate to the show. Maybe it's just the saturation and everything, but yeah, no, Ahsoka, I mean, really, we know a lot of her story. You know, what happens to her after Order 66. We've seen her in Tales of the Jedi now. She's a very integral part of the current Star Wars canon continuity going forward. And I feel like this figure is kind of one, at least if you have the mass market release, you don't really need this version, but you probably do need this Ahsoka, or at least one Ahsoka for your collection. She is very important to the Star Wars universe, and this is a good version to have, especially if you're carving out a post Episode 6 canon display. She is probably going to be one that you want up in there. So yeah, and we're going to see what she's been up to later in her show this year, which I'm looking forward to. Hopefully, also looking forward to seeing a newer Ahsoka suit. But this one is also really good, and it's just a really good figure. Look at that. Her and her master behind each other. A friend of the family, quote unquote, is number 8. When I saw Cobb Vanth introducing the Mandalorian, it actually made me remember that he was actually in Star Wars for a little bit before he first debuted as Timothy Oliphant, aka Cobb Vanth from Vanth Refrigeration. He was actually in Aftermath Life Debt, and actually a few other Aftermath books. I remember Aftermath Life Debt for sure. I don't remember if he was in any of the other ones. But I do remember that he crossed paths with Malakili, you know, the Rancor Keeper? Also from that Rancor HasLab that y'all didn't want. Well, I didn't want either, to be fair. But, I mean, damn, I kind of do want that. Never mind, that's besides the point. It just hurts to bring it up. Yeah, no, he crossed paths with them. He was actually the guarder of like Mos Pelgos for a long time. He defended against the Red Key Raiders and, you know, Mining Collective. He had actually, it's a funny story how he had gotten Boba Fett's armor. He was, I believe he was picked up by like Jawas. He had like, actually, he had passed out of like, I think it was thirst. And, you know, the Jawas picked him up, gave him some water, and they had offered, like, he had like these jewels. What was it, like, Shalax crystals or something like that, and they had offered him a lot of goods for them, but he had just pointed to Boba Fett's crusty Mandalorian armor in the corner, said, "I want that shit." And yeah, he got it, and he looked good in it. I really do like this figure. Why the hell is it a deluxe? Who really knows? But it is a nice figure. Timothy Oliphant face sculpt is really good. It's got a bit of a shine to it, but it's not as bad as some other figures, you know. It's a really good looking photoreal likeness. I especially love the detail on the hair. And overall, it just looks really, really good. I do not agree with the price point, and that advanced paint mechanic thing that they were talking about just seems like bullcrap to me. But the figure, it is really good. I really like it. I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I do. I wish he could have come with some jetpack accessories, though, like how that other Boba Fett did. It's kind of crazy that is the only figure that we got that has those accessories. But yeah, Cobb Vanth, really cool figure, and I really like having it. And I appreciate his role as well. So he's also pretty essential in your collection if you're trying to build a post Episode 6. So yeah, get him, man. I gotta reread the Aftermath series. It was really good, but shoot, I just hate reading, bro. Why does some of the best Star Wars content have to be books? Here is Ned B, and just an amazing figure, man. It's nice contrast from all the other stuff you got in the shelf. You don't have a lot of yellow figures. I mean, those two aren't really a great example. Actually, let's just not pay attention to that side. You don't have a lot of yellow figures in your Star Wars collection, especially. Your Star Wars collection tends to be a lot more monochromatic than anything else, especially when you get over here. Like, you see that? Like, it looks colorful from here, but then you compare it to like what color actually is, and then like it's kind of like, yeah. But Ned B is just a great figure, man. The Kenobi show was a good show for introducing some new characters into the Dark Times era, and Ned B is one of those. It's a very charming droid. The figure is executed very well. Shoulder pads. It's got some good range of movement. The Black Series tends to handle droids very well, and I like this Ned B more than any of the Dark Troopers that they've done. More than the Dark Trooper, I think that it's a lot better in terms of engineering. Good. He comes with the droid blaster. I believe it's like called the E5 blaster, right? So yeah, I really like that, and I appreciate that about Ned B. Good figure. That's what a deluxe figure is in my eyes. That's a big figure. That's a chunky boy right there. You can see it compared next to some other figures. And yeah, no, it is. It's no regular release in a deluxe box. It is a deluxe. Well, it's a deluxe release in a deluxe box. Anyway, I don't know where I was trying to go with that. Ned B is number 6. Yeah, I think we're on the 6th. Yeah, Ned B number 6. Cool. Kenobi figures are some of the highlights of this line. Like, they really handle every single Kenobi that they got pretty well. There's not a single Kenobi figure I'd say is bad, except for the original release of the Revenge of the Sith version. And the archive version leaves something to be desired, being on that old body. But really, Ewan McGregor, they've nailed his likeness a few times. They have nailed the likeness on this figure, I think. It does look like Ewan McGregor. Because, you know, what you want with the photoreal is that you want every single photoreal likeness you have to look like the same person, and I feel like they do tend to flop on some other figures. But with this Wandering Jedi Obi-Wan, I think it's just 2022 Black Series perfectly wound up into like a post Order 66 Jedi. It's got some nice soft goods there, some nice articulation, all pinless. Even though it's single joints, it's still got some good articulation to it. Got a nice little thick lightsaber blade that does not warp easily. I've had it in this pose for months, as y'all have even seen in the collection video. No alternate hands, but I guess that does represent what the Black Series be doing. We do not get any alternate hands with anything. It would have been nice for every single Jedi to have a force push hand, but at least, but I mean, shoot. And we still don't have a Kenobi with the freaking, with the, this, you know, when he does this, his lightsaber pose, his Sorzu, starting pose. Yeah, we still don't have a Kenobi that does that, which I think is ridiculous. I feel like if there was any time to do it, I mean, maybe it wouldn't be with this figure, but you just gotta have it at some point, man. Please. I know that they don't like to do interchangeable hands, but come on. Throw us a bone. But other than that, no, this Kenobi figure, the base figure itself is really good. It even comes with a little Lola, which is nice. And you can actually have Kenobi fighting Black Chrysanthemum. I believe it was Star Wars 20 when they crossed paths. Kenobi did fight Black Chrysanthemum, and it was sort of around this time period. This is a good Obi-Wan you can use if you want to get that shot. We don't really have a Mythos Obi-Wan yet. Maybe one might be coming because he does have that sort of look towards the end of the Kenobi show, but we all know whenever a figure appears in, you know, TV shows or anything like that, or a specific look, it definitely increases the chance of getting that figure exponentially. And I feel like combining this figure with, I mean, you can use that sort of crappy Black Chrysanthemum that we have now, but I feel like if you take this figure and you take the Black Chrysanthemum, the deluxe one that comes out next year, you can make a pretty sick Star Wars 20 comic cover shot. Because, I mean, shoot, that piece of art just goes hard. Reva here is a really nice Inquisitor figure, man. It's like, you know, the Inquisitors, they kind of all copy each other's style in a way or two. They all wear the same thing, they just shifted up a little. You know, for some reason, Inquisitors, especially the girls, they like to have, actually now I'm noticing on the boys too, all Inquisitors seem to have these, like, these stripes right here. I don't know what they mean. Maybe they're insignia for the Inquisitors to signify that they are an Inquisitor or some sort of, they command some sort of rank within the Imperial military complex. But no, Reva is just, individually, she's just amazing, man. One thing that really sticks out to me about her is the gloss chest, which I just think is fire. But yeah, all pinless. I need to rewatch Kenobi again. I'm doing so currently. I was watching episode 2 and then I fell asleep. but to be fair, it's not really the show's fault. I was tired. I had just come back from school, but I really need to pick up what happened because I mean, what she had a fake out death, two fake out deaths. Did Anakin? Because Anakin didn't kill her when she was a youngling. I'm confused about what happened there. Maybe I'm just slow, but yeah, no, I need to figure out Reva's story again. I don't know whether she's appeared in anything else besides the Kenobi show. I'll have to look into it, but I don't remember her actually ever being introduced until the Kenobi show because I'm pretty sure the third Inquisitor was kind of like a vacant spot, or at least we had heard of the third sister, but did not have an image to put behind it. So yeah, it's nice to have a Reva figure that's all pinless, and it's finally nice to have that Inquisitor spot filled. And I got that Grand Inquisitor. I can't wait to pop up here. So yeah, it's really cool having her next to all of the other ones. And I gotta say, probably the best Inquisitor that we got there. That second sister is really expensive. So we got the sisters right there. Gotta get a seventh sister going. And then we got our Shadow Guard, which is kind of like the Inquisitor of Star Wars Legends / The Force Unleashed. But anyway, yeah. All right, so Reva, pretty cool. I think this is number 5, so that's keeping up with our Kenobi streak. But that's probably going to be the last one. I think that number 4 is... Sorry, number 3 is Bad Batch Echo. Look, the figure is just fire, man. Like, we had actually gotten to see in finished animation glory, 3D animation glory, what happened to Echo. We got to see him get rescued, and it was just really beautiful seeing him and Rex reunite again. And it was... I've still... That scene where, you know, Rex is just like... If you know, if that is where you think you belong, or if that is where you think you'll be strong, that is where you belong. I forgot exactly what he said. Don't quote me on that. But, you know, when Echo, you know, he goes to the Bad Batch and he walks to them, and Rex, you know, he's kind of like Rex feels it, and then he turns around, and then Echo turns around and he salutes him with his amputated hand, and then all the Bad Batch salute him, and then Rex just salutes back. Man, that scene was beautiful, bro. Like, oh, man. Anyways, no. That has nothing to do with this figure, though. He wasn't even wearing this outfit during that scene. This is probably... I'm not going to say that this is the definitive Echo that you need in your collection, but it is definitely an Echo look that you want to have, because I'd say the definitive Echo, at least for a Clone Wars era display, is this Echo. The Bad Batch exists in its own little realm, because Echo wasn't really a member of the Bad Batch until, like, the last few months of the Clone Wars, even. But... the figure itself is just amazing. Again, all pinless, great posability. I had totally expected an Echo figure to be almost all reuse of previous clone bodies that we had, but this one is just, it's just amazing how with the Clone Force 99, they've managed to sculpt completely new bodies for all of them, even Omega. Maybe Echo, maybe the feet might be reused in the shins, but that's all that I really know about, man. And still, those knees make it look like it's all new, and it's just the detailing. It's great to have a team like this completed in such fast succession. Star Wars doesn't even have a lot of teams to begin with, but you know, I mean, you got people who join together to seek a mutual goal, which on paper you would call a team, but a lot of Star Wars teams are usually bounty hunters who end up betraying each other, / you know, backstabbing, espionage. You don't really have a lot of Special Forces teams like this. The only ones I can really think of at the moment are the Bad Batch, like organized Special Forces teams that have their own name. I can think of the Bad Batch, Inferno Squad, Scar Squadron. You can kind of say the Munulus 10, kind of. You know, that ARC Trooper squad with 10 members. Who else? Like, oh, well, of course, Delta Squad, Omega Squad. Okay, maybe there are a lot, but then again, we don't have that many in figure form, and Echo just completed that Clone Force 99 for us there, and I just think that it's beautiful, and that's serviceable, and it's fantastic. So yeah, Echo number 3, actually. I just can't count. Number 2, I am glad to say and surprised to say, is Sergeant Creel. I think this figure surprised a lot of us with the amount of new we saw on it. They actually, Hasbro did something that none of us were really expecting. It goes to show how we've lost a lot of people have lost some faith in the Black Series line as far as new sculpting goes, but they actually used their creative genius, because a lot of people, when they heard that Sergeant Creel was rumored, when they heard about a Sergeant Creel coming to the comic line, they had easily figured, okay, Stormtrooper, red pauldron, just that's it, green lightsaber, that's just about it. But Hasbro actually did use their creative genius, and when it comes to these comic figures, I find that the Marvel Legends team does it a lot. They take different artist interpretations and they make like this definitive version that you can translate into other characters on your shelf without it being too artist specific, because Creel has looks where he looks like really big, and then of course the more popular look that they actually use on the box art for the Scar Squadron Trooper Mike, he's a more regular proportion stormtrooper guy. So it all really has to do with artist interpretation, because Star Wars 2015 comics do have different sort of looks for Creel, which is actually where he was introduced. But they use their creative genius to create this nice mashup of those different looks and different accoutrement designs to create this really good figure, man. Even a new torso, it's just fantastic. Creel, a little bit of backstory on him. Of course, leader of the Scar Squadron. He is a sergeant in Vader's Fist, the 501st Legion. He has a pretty traumatic childhood, but he was actually a child on like a very, I don't know, like a very, just very like, I don't want to say backwater, but it was very like barbaric world. It was called Chargar like 9, Chargar 11. Was it Chargar 11 or Chargar 9? I remember the I was before the X. That means it's 9, right? I don't know, guys. I'm not Roman. Anyway, yeah, no, he was there. He had seen a man get killed, I think, and it had traumatized him. And he had seen his father get killed, and he was kind of like, it's just death. He had heard of his mother's death, and he was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna live my whole life out there in the pits fighting, because, shoot, a life ain't for the weak, apparently. And yeah, you can see how far it's got him. For him to be able to go toe-to-toe with Luke Skywalker. Granted, Luke Skywalker was he hadn't really like got deep into the Jedi training yet. But shoot, when you're a lightsaber non-force user, when you're a lightsaber wielder who is a non-force user going against a lightsaber wielder who is a force user, you're already at a disadvantage. But the fact that Sergeant Creel was able to put up a fight with Luke and actually engaged him several times is commendable in its own, even though his lightsaber was destroyed by Luke and he eventually was defeated. I'm pretty sure the last time that we saw him. But anyways, no, the figure itself is amazing. Again, mainly on that Stormtrooper body mold, but the new pieces, I felt like it had enough new here for me to put it on to number 2 on the list. And it's just a blast to pose, man. It just looks awesome. Like, you don't even need to know a lot about Creel in order to have him pose with the rest of your peeps. Like, he's amazing, man. He's a really good figure. Probably the best Stormtrooper we got. For me to put him center stage with all these Imperials around, that just goes to show how badass he is. So yeah, Creel, number 2. So moving into the honorable mentions, I got 3 honorable mentions for you guys. Number 3, I mean, I guess you could say the third honorable mention. Not the most honorable mention, but a kind of honorable mention is our Captain Fordo, man. So really, look, guys, I know he's not great. I know that, the Hasbro team, it's like, I had just bragged about their creative genius and simped about them for their ability to make a really nice looking Creel interpretation. And this figure, it's kind of the opposite of that. It's kind of crappy that we had gotten just a ARC Trooper repaint with the Fordo head on it. And look, you kind of need this guy for your collection. He is the leader of the Munulus 10, and you guys know that they are going to make those ARC Troopers later on down the line. I, of course, wanted a Fordo who was they could have called him an ARC Trooper Commander, just like how they did in the Vintage Collection line, and actually given him the Sergeant Creel treatment with the regular clone torso. Like, it wouldn't even be hard to do. Like, regular clone torso, regular clone arms and everything. Keep this comma. This comma's fine. Regular clone legs. And then keep, like, the pauldrons, man. It wouldn't have been that difficult to do a Fordo. The helmet you guys got great. That is a great, realistic interpretation of that animated series helmet. But, man, I know. It kind of fell off with the execution. I'm even kind of bummed out that they didn't even paint the rocket on the shoulder or on the arm there. Like, yeah, this realistic interpretation thing that they do, they get it right, really right sometimes, but then sometimes they just get it kind of wrong. But he still looks cool. It's a red ARC Trooper, man, and it's just, like, look at that. You need Fordo. You need a Fordo. It's probably the only Fordo you're going to be able to get in this scale, and you need him. He is an essential for a Clone Wars display because he interacts with a lot of different, clone troopers throughout the Legends timeline. There's a very popular image of him from, I believe it was a Karen Traviss novelization of them during like the Galactic Spaceport hostage situation, where you can see, actually that might not be Fordo. That was Alpha 17. This is probably the best Alpha 17 that you're gonna get. I mean, was it Alpha 17? Ordo. It was Ordo, not Fordo. Look, that's the same thing. Anyway, well, it's not the same thing. Anyway, no, look. This is the closest that you got for now, and this is probably the best Fordo that you're gonna get. So look, I know it's not perfect, but sometimes you just gotta bite that bullet. Amazon had put the Figrin D'an and the Modal Node set on sale, so I had managed to get the Figrin D'an figure on sale for $10. Managed to get those last 3 Modal Node figures that I needed for my collection display. And I gotta say, the honorable mention goes to Nayland Chill for all of the accessories that he got. He's a Hasbro Pulse exclusive, which is kind of crappy, but they included literally every single instrument that band plays, which just has to be noticed. So you can create something like this. I originally only wanted the 4, but I wanted to display all of the instruments, man, and that is lit. So Nayland Chill, he's only in the honorable mention spot. He was originally in the top 10, but this figure, it needs butterfly joints, man. So that's kind of kills it for me. Well, it doesn't necessarily kill it, but I mean, it's still fantastic, and I love having it in my collection, but butterfly joints set it over the edge. But all in all, accessories and all, Nayland Chill is high up there. And the most honorable mention, the Star Wars Infinity's Darth Vader. I couldn't in good conscience put it into the top 10 list because I'd excluded repaints largely from my top 10 list. This is the reason why you don't see any of those clones up on here. I would have definitely included the 13th Battalion up in there, but I didn't want to include any straight repaints in this Darth Vader, even though I love it so. It is basically just a repaint of I think it's the Empire. I think it's either the Kenobi one or the Empire Strikes Back one. I'm pretty sure it's the Kenobi one that it's a repaint of. But look, even though I've never actually read the whole Infinity's arc, even though I knew that I wanted this figure because I loved the Legacy Collection version that was featured in that comic pack, and I always wanted that in Star Wars. Again, I didn't even think that they knew what Star Wars Infinities was, so I never thought that they were going to do it. But that comic line delivers surprises over and over. And it is just, look at that, man. It is just, it's breathtaking. In the number 1 spot, we got Ming-Na Ren's Fennec Shand. And, man, it's just, I didn't expect this figure to hit as hard as it did. And it was actually one of the earliest figures I gotten in the year. But, man, it was never dethroned. It is fantastic. The sculpting, the texturing. It's hard to look at all the minute texturing on that figure, guys. It's from like head to toe. Even though it is a plastic comma, it does not inhibit the articulation. As you can see, that is a dynamic pose I got her in. It's probably the best woman. I was about to say it's probably the best woman Star Wars Black Series figure we got in the line. That's a conversation for a different video. But it is one of the best woman Star Wars Black Series action figures in the line for sure. Like, it's amazing. The Ming-Na Ren head sculpt, that looks just like her, man. And it does not have the gloss issue like other figures. It's that's almost creepy. Like, my gun is a little bit bent, which is annoying, but they even sculpted a whole new weapon. Accurate, apparently. Ming-Na Ren is inserting herself, or Fennec Shand is inserting her, well, actually both are inserting themselves into the Star Wars universe, and they're slipping in like Cinderella's slipper, bruh. She is fitting in there, and it's amazing. Look at the hair. Yeah, no, a lot of people got this on their top 10 list. Again, I'm not including that wave, so don't expect to see the freaking Darth Maul number 1 up here. At least it makes my list a little bit more interesting, you know, that it is not like the same figure as number 1, but nah, Ming-Na Ren's Fennec Shand, absolutely amazing. And yeah, scale of 1 to 10, this figure's a 10 out of 10. I can't even lie. Like, there's nothing I would have wanted to change. It's fantastic. One of the best figures we got in the line. Tell me, what are y'all's top 10 favorites of the past year? 2022, I thought, was a fine year for the Black Series. It wasn't the most exciting year to be collecting. It was actually the year I got the most amount of figures, but I mean, I just feel like there weren't that many new characters introduced into the line, which is something that I personally love to see. a lot of repaints, a lot of gaming greats type stuff. So there weren't a lot of actually new characters that we got to see, but we did get to see a few new characters, and that's always the highlight. That's why I like to include a lot of new characters on this list. Even though they're from Disney Plus, we do got that comic line coming up. This comic line they really seem to be taking it by the shoestrings and really tying it together with a Mara Jade coming soon. We got more Dr. Afras. We got a Scar Squadron that we seem to be making headway on. And yeah, I am excited for the year to come. I'm excited to crack these guys out of the package. Maybe y'all be seeing these guys up on the top 10 at the end or at the beginning of next year, end of this year. But yeah, 2023, let's look forward to it. Something really great is going to have to drop in order to beat that Darth Maul. Because, I mean, I better open that figure and expect to be freaking mind blown with the way people are hyping that thing up. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Tell me what y'all's top 10 lists are. And I got the Marvel Legends one on the way. Don't even worry about it. Stay safe out there. And always remember to be the best. May the Force be with you. Always.